What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of the Ascent Athlete podcast, where we're talking all things baseball. Today we have Ascent Athlete, true to the core, Michael Anderson joining us. He's currently playing ball in the Cape. He's killing it up there. And let's jump right into the episode. Michael Anderson, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
I'm doing real good, man. I'm doing real good. I'm so excited to have you on. You're a guy that I just kind of recently met, and I'll be real, man. You're one of my favorite guys that has come into the building. Watching you get your work in, watching you go about your business, dude. It's a pleasure to watch. So, just walk me through your journey.
I went to high school at Monsignor Bonner. I know you're probably not too familiar about the area, but it's a school 15 minutes away from Philly. I actually decided to go there probably, I would say, 2 weeks before high school seasons, high school started because we were just hitting one day and all my buddies, there was a place, this was called St. Vincent's. This was a place right next to Bonner. It was where Prendy was. And he was like, dude, we want you to come here. I'm with, my best friends, Joey DiMucci, Kevin McGonigal, all those guys. And they're like, dude, we want you to come to Bonner. So I'm like, I don't know. I was set on going to Hafford High School, just the public school. And then Bonner was the best choice I've ever made in my life. My best friends have came from Bonner, and then everything just fell into place from there, honestly. After high school, I definitely wasn't the most heavily recruited guy out of high school. Had a couple offers here and there, nothing crazy, but I found myself at URI. I went to a camp there. I fell in love with it. Awesome coaches, awesome players there. I couldn't ask for better stuff from them. They were always there for me. It was a great time, and then recently I made a decision to enter the portal and going to the University of Arkansas, which I'm really pumped about. I think it's a great step, great opportunity to perform at a very high level, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And then I'm battling in the Cape right now, so got our off day today, so on the call with you. So
I love that, man. I love that. So, walk me through a little bit your progression as a baseball player. When did you see your biggest jumps? How did that kind of happen? And just kind of walk me through overall, the mental approach at the plate and just all that good stuff.
yeah, for sure. I would say definitely my senior year summer is when I really started to realize hey, this is what you need to do to become a great baseball player. Yeah, a lot of people are good in high school, but I wanted to be great. So I saw this facility at the time, and it was called MSI at the time, and I'm like, hey, blah blah blah. And then towards my senior year, it's Ascent. We go in there to practice for Bonner. I'm like, whoa, what is this place? I need to get in here. All the guys are in here. At the time, Nate Furman was training in there. Sammy Berman, all those guys, Dylan Can. I was like, this is where I want to be. So whatever, time passed, high school. I didn't do it during the high school season, but during the summer I was playing in the what's the league called in the summer there? Whatever, it doesn't matter. And I was like, I need a place to train. So I asked my parents, I'm like, hey, I really want to go train at this place called Ascent. We went there for Bonner practice, and I absolutely loved it there. So, and then that's kind of where it all started. I went to Ascent my first time, and I was just like, wow, this is how I should have been training for my whole life. It was crazy. I usually, when I was little, I would just go into the gym and I would just do more of a bodybuilding kind of circuit, and yeah, it helped me, but it kind of made me stiff and all that kind of stuff, but it didn't prepare me for real baseball. Yeah, high school baseball, but when you get to college, everybody's very good. You step onto the field and you better be ready to play. So that's when I was just like, all right, I need to change this up a little bit if I really want to make this thing my life, and that's what I really want to do. So I just fell in love with Ascend. Like, I'm there every single day when I'm home, and like some of my best friends go there. Like, I've met people that I would have never thought of. Like, this is my life, this is my journey. Like, all my best friends play sports, and like I was lucky enough to have them by my side and just grind it out every single day. They want to go hit, they want to go lift. But I mean, like, I feel like that was like my big stride. Like, senior year summer, going to Ascend, really realizing like that it's the biggest thing is like yourself. Like, you need to be able to put the work in by yourself. Like, yeah, you're gonna get better by the coaches from high school, travel ball, but you got to put the work in on your own if you really want to make it somewhere.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that you kind of brought up the culture. I take a lot of pride in the culture that we have at Ascent. I think the way that guys push each other and that we're able to kind of cultivate that environment of we want to get better and we want each other to get better is a huge reason for why guys do get better. So, do you have any good stories of like good culture happening at Ascent that you just like pop into your head right away?
So I just remember one time we were at Ascent, and this is when Chase Miller used to be there, and we were just hitting there after hours one time. They knew that was going on, but whatever. Chase is like, someone left baseballs in like the cage or something. And I was with a couple kids, and I kind of just took the blame for it. I was like, sorry, it won't happen again, but like, Chase came up to me and he was like, dude, like, this can't happen again. Like, we trusted you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can't be doing this. But then, so a little bit later, well, I'll say 10 minutes passed up, Chase comes up to me and he's just like, dude, like, I'm sorry. Like, I love you, man. And that's when I really realized that, like, it's not just a baseball thing. Like, for him to be able to yell at me and then come up to me and like be like, dude, like, I'm sorry, like, I love you, man. Like, that's when I feel like what me and like that's when I really realized how great a Sam was. Like, he came up to me and I was just like, dang, like, this guy's actually here for me. Like, he doesn't want to be this like this big time guy or whatever, but like he was there for me at that time. Even though like I really wasn't even hitting that night, and like I was, it was funny, but he came up to me. But for me, like, that's a big thing. Like, I need coaches to be able to yell at me, and we need to be able to talk it out, not just him be like, hey, you should go do this. Like, no, we need to have that relationship about like, it's gonna be hard sometimes, you're gonna have to grind it out, but I'm also gonna be there for you when you need me the most. And that's why I really feel like helped me the most. And like, just having that culture of like, they got your back no matter what. Like, they're gonna be there through the thick and thin. Like, he's just willing to do anything, and everybody there is willing to do anything for you.
100%, man. I think that's a really fun story of just kind of the coach player relationship that we have at Ascent too. Um, Chase Miller is such a stud. We miss him, but having that relationship where you can get on guys and we demand your best every day. I think that's really part of what makes us great. And I love how you kind of brought that story up of how like, hey man, I love you. After that interaction, we're like, dude, that's what it's all about, like holding each other accountable, but like knowing that it's coming from a place of love is how ultimately guys get better. And there's that trust that builds between player and coach. So let me ask you this next question too. In terms of the hitting stuff that you've done at Ascent, kind of take me into a deeper dive of what's really worked for you, maybe what hasn't worked for you, and how do you translate that into the games?
So things that I really love about Ascent is going in there, like, training so hard when you're like, you're hitting 105-mile-an-hour sinkers. Like, for me, that stuff prepares me for the game, because when I see a 95-mile-an-hour sink, I'm like, I just did this 1,000 times. Like, I'm so prepared. But a big thing that I feel like for me personally with Ascent is not necessarily going in there asking like, hey, like, where should I put my hands? It's more of like a feel kind of thing for me personally. So like, being in there and be like, hey, could I have a drill to help me feel this is a big thing. I feel like Ascent is there for. Like, if you want that hands-on coaching, like, hey, get your hands here, 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 they're there for you. But I feel like with Ascent, like, I just remember before I left, me and you were like, I was like, hey, like, I feel like I'm drifting a little bit, and we used like that band, and I was like,
Mm.
I love that. Like, for me, like all I want to do is use that band. Like I got to get one of those bands, and it was like something so simple like that, but like it worked for me. So those are like some of the little things. I mean, I'm trying to think of something I didn't like one day. Um, I mean, it's tough. Like for me, I like to challenge myself really hard. So like, I'll go in there, swing and miss 10 times, and like it's just like we're hitting 110-mile-an-hour sinkers, or they're going like this. So it's like you're gonna fail. But then like the next round you go 4 for 10, you're like I got better today. It's always
Right.
about like just trying to get better. Like anybody can go in there and go 10 for 10 poolside homers, hitting 50-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like anybody can do that. Anybody can hit BP home runs. But like the big thing for me, like I want to be good in the game all the time. I don't want to be great at just one thing. I want to be good all the time. And that's really one thing
Right.
like I really need to harp on is not being great at one point, being just good, consistent all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a funny story that you brought up just some of the stuff that we did, because I was thinking about that as well. But specifically coaching a player like yourself, where like you are a really good athlete and you do move really well, and like you do have some really good tools in your bag already. Um, Mechanically, like there's not much that I want to like try to over rehaul with you. A lot of the stuff is how do I get you doing specific movement patterns in your own respective way, that kind of cognitively makes sense with you, so that you're able to like have that stick for you and have that move into the game where you're not necessarily thinking about a mechanical move in the game. You're just thinking like, this is what my feel was. This external cue kind of worked for me when I was executing that feel. Let's go use it in the game.
Exactly.
And I also loved how you brought up the challenge stuff, man. I was laughing because like I have a story about you too, but it was one of like your second or third day in, when you came back from school, and you were like, I just want to do something hard today. I'm like, all right, let's do it, you know? And I think we did, I think we might have did like the string drill that day. We're, we're just like, we're working on pitch selection and we're working on swing decisions. And we're just working on getting our A hack off as consistently as possible. And I remember that was like the first day I actually like watched you. And I was like, man, this cat's a little different. He's he's got some screws loose upstairs, man. He's in there just taking G hacks and just like, I think my favorite thing about you in that day in particular is like you did fail. Like you failed that day, you know, like you did, it wasn't like pull side homer every swing, right? Cuz like what we're doing is challenging. And you literally, the reactions out of you were just like nothing. It was, how do I make an adjustment? How do I get better? Like we understood that it was a drill. We understood that it was challenging, and we didn't let that get to us and like what we were doing mentally and physically.
For sure. I mean, that's like another big thing. Like when you like, and I'm there, like right now, I'm like I've been struggling a little bit. Like I came off to a hot start, and I'm struggling a little bit right now. I feel like I'm getting back into a lot, but like it's just like a pitch selection thing at the end of the day. Like I don't feel like it's always about like you need to change your swing. You know, you need to learn how they're pitching you. I'm getting pitched way different than when I first got there. So that like that's one thing. Like and going back to that like Ascent culture, like being able to realize what worked for me when I was back at home and what didn't work. So that's kind of where I'm honing in right now. I'm really trying to figure out like how they're pitching me. So like when it comes to the game, I don't need to really think much. I can just react. And like right now, I feel like I'm thinking a little bit too much. Like, am I gonna get a fastball or breaking ball here? And that's not gonna work. Like I need to have like a have an approach before, and I feel like I was doing that very very well. But now that I'm getting pitched a little bit differently, I need to change my mind up a little bit because I need to be able to succeed way better than I'm doing right now, honestly.
And I love that about you in particular too, where I think you're just such a dog, and you work your tail off, right? And when we talk specifically about the game planning of the approaches and the different types of pitches we're facing, um, I think that's when the game gets really fun. And I think you're at a point now where, like, again, the swing doesn't need to mechanically change a whole lot, right? Some of the best advice I ever got when I was playing was, you're at a point in your career now where it's probably not a mechanical issue. Like, you know what a good swing is, you know what a good swing feels like, and you know what your good swing is, and you know what that feels like. At this point, it's like, are you on time, and are you swinging at good pitches?
And from you saying that, actually, that was like a big thing at URI. Like, before anything we asked about the swing, was it a strike or were you on time? And if you didn't check those two boxes off, then we'll start talking about the swing. But at the end of the day, you're most likely just probably not on time or you just didn't swing at a strike. So, like, from you saying that, it's funny that, like, two worlds collide there because that's a big thing I think of. Like, the first thing I always ask sometimes, like, when I get back in the dugout, it's like, was that even, like, a strike? Is that, like, a borderline call? And, like, nah, it's probably a little off. So it's a sense, like, I just got to take that pitch. I need to learn how to take that pitch. It's just funny that you say that because I think the same way about that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I think that's something that Kramer does just a fantastic job of too. Um, but we basically preach, swing decisions and ball flight in hitting, and Kramer's done an incredible job of kind of like ingraining that into our hitters. But it even gets back into like some of the neutral thinking stuff that we've touched on in the podcast, where you only have so much that you can control, and especially in a game of baseball where you fail so much, right? Like, dude, if you go back to the dugout and you're like, "Oh, I swung at bad pitches that at bat," that's a quantifiable thing that you can adjust and take into your next at bat and try to get into it like a flow state so that you can just kind of play your game, right? But if we're up there just kind of like knocking our head against the wall, trying to figure out like, why aren't I hitting well? What's going on here? Like all that fun stuff that like turns not into so fun stuff. Then we're just beating our head against the wall and we're just going to spiral.
For sure. So, I mean, from you kind of saying that kind of stuff about just like, I feel like that's one of the hardest things that probably separates good players to great players is like just like the mental side of it. Because I feel like a lot of people are there physically, but they're really not there like mentally. That's one thing that I need to get better at. Just because I always just want to have a mental like a stronger mental mind than everybody. Like that's a big thing for me. It's like trying to just stay calm, stay like loose throughout everything, not let my emotions show because definitely when you're like little like that and like growing in little league and stuff, like you show a lot more emotions than if you were to go watch like a college baseball game. So I feel like that's a really big thing honing in on like the mental game of baseball because it's definitely tough to stay positive when you're 0 for 30. Like it's tough. It's easy when you're 10 for 10 with 10 homers to be happy, but when you're 0 for 30 and you're grinding and you're in the last part of the season, like you need to be able to grind it out. Like no one cares that it's the last game. Like the scouts, they don't care. Like they want to see you perform the best. Like no one cares if you struck out the at bat before. No one cares how you did in the game before. Like you shouldn't like not like go hang out with your friends because you went 0 for 5. Like no, you need to just like let it go. Like no one cares that you went 0 for 5. Like tough luck. Like it's baseball. Like no, you just gotta have like that fun, loose, like just enjoy it because you never know when it can be taken away from you.
Absolutely, man. And I love that you said that because um, in the last podcast, when we were really taking a deep dive into neutral thinking stuff, um, I literally said, like, the game doesn't care. The process doesn't care, Um, nobody does. Nobody cares, right? and and I think it's hilarious when you kind of dive a little bit deeper into how much like you love baseball, how much I love baseball, how much my directors of the different departments at Ascent love baseball. And like the cruel reality of it all is that baseball's never going to love you back. It's never going to love you back, but we can love it, and baseball's a cruel lover and it's pretty cold shoulder sometimes.
Nah, for sure. But like that's like the biggest thing. Like, but when you can surround yourself with people like you, Kramer, anybody there, Chase, anybody, my coaches before, like some of the best people I've ever met in like in my life, but like when you're struggling, those are the people that like, hey, like I'm struggling right now. Like, what are you thinking? Because like you need to be able to have people to fall back onto. Like some of my closest friends, it could be literally, let's just say my buddy Kevin. Like, hey, like, what did you do in this situation? Like, you succeeded. What did you do in this situation? Like, I like picking people's minds, just so like, cause you're obviously not alone. Like, he's went 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts before. So did probably 1,000 other people. How did you deal with it? You know, because like it's tough to be alone when you go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts because you think the world's gonna end. Like, and like learning that it's not gonna end. Like you have a game tomorrow, you go 5 home runs, and it's like, oh, I'm the best player. No, you just gotta be like, you need to just be like this simple like. You need to be just a great player in your head all the time. Like when you step on that field, you need to be the best player. Like you're the best player on that field no matter what. Like I'm gonna look at you and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna beat you. I don't really care who you are. Like that's just how I am. Like I don't really care who you are. I'm gonna beat you today.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mentality. Um, and I think Kev is really good at exemplifying that too. And we're definitely going to have Kev on an episode of this podcast as well. But I remember just even watching Kev interact with the different guys that he was training with this off season, and um, he just exuded that confidence of like, I'm better than this guy. And I think that's truthfully a big part of what makes Kevin McGonigal so good at baseball. And I think that's a big part of what makes you so good at baseball as well. But when you look at the confidence and what that does, it's huge.
It's crazy. Wait
It's
till you
huge,
see
man.
me and Kevin go it. Like it's like we've almost fist fought before. Like it gets that. Like we've almost like became not friends because we were like we get so into it because we love it so much and we like it gets so intense where like if you say something else you better just like back up because like it's me versus him and like we'll hit for hours like I'll beat him, no, let's play again, he beats me, no, let's play again, and we're doing this for like because we just want to beat each other, we want to be the best, and I mean like it shows. Look at him, like he's doing great right now. I think they're off right now. Like I was talking to him earlier, like I'm probably as soon as we're done off the phone, like I'm literally gonna call him and be like, "Yo, like how you been doing? Like how's everything?" Like, but nah, it's great to have people like that in your corner, and it's not just him. It's like some of my best friends, like my buddy just let's say Joe DiMucci, like he's going to Penn State next year, so like we were both in the portal. Like I was just talking to him, like, bro, like do you need anything? Like I know this is a tough time. Like how is everything? But like I was like, dude, I was like almost on the verge of tears when I heard like when he was going to Penn State. Like it just made me so happy to like just see my friends succeed because that's like the big thing. Like I want all my friends to be great. So
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's just another really great example of the culture that is created at Ascent, where like we're brothers in baseball. We're not friends in baseball, and brothers fight sometimes, and that's a really healthy thing that happens. I think when you break down a lot of like healthy relationships and like the best kind of dynamics, like there's conflict there, and you know, and that's awesome. That's brotherhood. Um, when you break down of like what smooth sailing is and like what conflict is, all conflict is really an issue that you guys are overcoming. And if there's no issues in your relationship, that means there's nowhere to go, right? Yeah, like it's not as deep. But if there's conflict in that relationship and you guys are able to find that common ground and work through it, that's love, that's brotherhood, and that's how people get better.
exactly.
I'll ask one more question of you before we wrap this up. But talk to me a little bit about your your transfer portal experience.
Okay. Where do we start? So obviously the hardest part was obviously telling the coaches like these guys that were like awesome people. Like I would recommend Uri to anybody. I have nothing bad to say about the University of Rhode Island. Like it's a great place. Like I recommend anybody that wants to play in the Northeast. Like I would go there. Like great people, great facilities. Like they're the best. But so after that was kind of done, I mean it gets a little hectic, but my overall goal was like I wanted to play in the SEC. I wanted to prove that I could bang with the best people in the country. So like when we would play these big schools, and I was just like I want to beat these guys. Like we would show up to the field. We banged with Texas A&M. Like they walked us off the third game. Like when we were there, I was just like, and they're screaming at you like ball five, like, and it's crazy Texas A&M environment. And like when we were there, I was just like, this is awesome. I love it. Like people are saying, like yelling at you in the stands. Like this is when I was like, this is great. Like I want to perform on a stage like this all the time. And Arkansas was they reached out in the beginning, and I was just like, well, like I could really see myself going here. Whatever, time passes. I mean, here and there, text messages like, hey, like, how's everything going? Schools kept reaching out, blah, blah, blah. But then it started to get serious, and I'm like, all right, like, I could really see myself going here. So, the Arkansas coach came up, saw me play, and we talked for a little bit after the game, and then we went out to breakfast together, and everything kind of just fell into place. Like, it was great. Like, I couldn't have asked for really anything else. Like, it's a good opportunity to fight for a starting role and perform at one of the highest levels. And for me, that's what I want to do. Like I want to play baseball, and I want to like prove the world. I want to shock the world, and that's kind of how I roll. Like when I got the opportunity, I was just like, this is all I wanted. Like it wasn't about the money for me. It wasn't about chasing the money. Like oh, the school's giving you whatever. It wasn't like that for me. It was where am I going to develop as a player the best? Obviously, their facilities are one of the best in the country, if not the best. Like, I didn't even have to visit. What else? Like, for me, visiting a school, if it was like up in the air, but like a school like Arkansas, you can look up. Everybody knows $50 million facilities. Like, I don't need to go there. Like, I know that's going to be great. The coaches and like even the players I've met here so far in the Cape, like they've just been nice to me. Like it's been great. Like I played a kid last night that from Born Braves, and I didn't even know he was gonna come to Arkansas, but he transferred from Vanderbilt, and like he's probably gonna be my roommate next year. Like it's crazy. Like and that's kind of how it was for me. Like it was a long like, and I couldn't have done it without the people that were by my corner. Like there was a couple people that were there by my side the whole time because obviously I'm alone here in the Cape. Like I didn't have my parents, I didn't have anybody to really influence me, so I'm answering all these calls, and honestly, it made me become a better person because this is way different than high school. Like some of the coaches are even like, "Yo, like what's this kid up to now?" And I'm like, "He's a great kid. Like you guys should reach out to him." And that's one good thing. Like I built relationships with people like I would have never known, and that's one good thing. Like none of the coaches, when I told them like, hey, like this isn't gonna work out, they weren't like go screw off or whatever. They're like, dude, that's awesome. Like I wish you the best of luck. Like you're the best. Like you're gonna kill it there. And that's for me. That sounds just like wow. Like some people like actually want you to succeed in life. And now playing in the Cape, then headed to school probably in let's a month almost. So
Yeah, man. I when I heard you were going to Arkansas, I was ecstatic. I think that's a really good fit for you, and I think you're going to kill it there. And I'm sure your hot start in the Cape, where you're leading the league in homers for a while there, um, help with that transition a little bit, man. But dude, we can't tell you how proud of you we are at Ascent and like all that you've done. You've absolutely killed it with your work ethic. You put it in and day out, and like you've been really really fun for me to watch personally, just in the short time that I've known you. And dude, like we have all the faith in you that you're gonna do what you need to do there, and obviously we're here if you need you, or we're here if you need us. um, yeah, man, like we're so proud of you, and like I think this is an awesome interview just to kind of get a deeper look into the culture and what we do at Ascent and kind of how we go about it, and like um, how we can help progress guys' careers. And like I'm not saying by any means like we got you to Arkansas by any means, like you did that all on your own. Um, but having you in building and you continuing to cultivate the culture is actually a bigger help to us than probably we are to you. So man, we're so proud of you, and we're so happy for you.
Thank you. Seriously, it means a lot. I appreciate that.
Of course, man. All right, man. Well, hey, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Uh, let's hope you guys tune in next time, and we'll see you then.